What I'd like to do now is explore this question of who the greatest athlete is of all time. So you might remember that earlier on in the course, you were asked to provide your own opinion on who the greatest athlete has been. And what we're going to do then is analyze some of that data in Excel and also demonstrate a very easy and efficient feature in Excel called quick analysis. And we'll just briefly discuss some of the trends in the data. So first, what I want to do is show you the results from the survey that you filled out in the first few days of class. You may see here from this pie chart, for instance, is that the most popular majors are liberal arts slash social science, business slash economics, and engineering and math. The most common academic standing in the past year is juniors, followed by some seniors. And as you can see from this one, most people are either enrolled in the minor for sports management or in the certificate program for sports management. Some of you are interested in that in the future, which is great. And then the question about which sports you are interested in is kind of interesting as well because what I did is I listed these sports in order of popularity um, in the U.S. And so I almost was predicting that baseball, football, basketball, and soccer would also rank as the top four, and that's almost true with the exception of hockey. And I don't know if it's because the hockey playoffs are taking place now or because we really do have a lot of hockey fans enrolled in the class. So that's good to see. A few cricket fans. Actually, I should say these are not listed in order of popularity in the U.S. Golf and auto racing are definitely much more popular than cricket in Aussie rules football, but I figured I'd throw those in to see if we had anybody interested in those sports. Um, 32% of the class was interested in beer pong, so that's good to see, although we won't be doing any analytics on that for a grade. Um, the another interesting outcome was the experience of the class, at least your self-assessment on your experience of the class. 10% of you consider yourselves rookies or kind of knowing what's going on with analytics. And these are again very subjective. I can hang. So I would say if you sort of fall into these three areas, that is perfectly fine. We are hoping to teach you what you need to know. And three-quarters of you have seen the movie Moneyball, which is good, and hopefully the 10 of you who have not will have a chance to watch it sometime in the near future. And then the last two things I'll just show you in case you're curious. I wanted to know where you are physically located during the next 4 weeks, because if there is a critical mass of you who are in Tucson or nearby, we might have a in-person meeting. So that only accounts for about 25% of you on or nearby campus, and then a small number, only 5% of you who are nearby. So that's a pretty small number, but that's one of the reasons why it really is beneficial that this class is being offered online entirely. And last but not least, three-quarters of you are putting your money on the Golden State Warriors, and they are ahead in the series 3-0. By the time you listen to this recording, they may have already. I'm sorry, they're up 3-1. Uh, Today is Saturday, the 10th of June, but by the time you listen to this recording, the outcome may have already been decided. So I want to focus on this question of who the greatest athlete is of all time. Now, because I'm emphasizing in past lectures asking questions from a statistical perspective, I did want to highlight that this question is a statistical question because it does identify a population, that is professional athletes or athletes who you consider to be excellent performers. And the variability in the answer is certainly very possible. There are thousands or tens of thousands of athletes who you may consider to be great or the greatest. Okay, so what the type of question entails is a open-ended narrative response, meaning that it was not a multiple choice test, it was not true and false, it was not select from a drop-down list. It was just tell me in your own opinion, and anybody could have been entered here. So this is very difficult data to analyze in terms of text. So what I did is I converted the data into numbers by tallying how many times each of these athletes were mentioned. And so the first thing you should note is that the sum of all these is 41. Okay, so there were 41 unique responses. You'll see that there's a clear consensus that Michael Jordan is the greatest athlete of all time. I was also interested in the distribution of your opinions across various sports. And you'll see here that there's an overwhelming opinion that basketball has the greatest athletes of all time. And then the opinions drop off considerably when you consider football, baseball, and then some of the other sports only got a few votes. I will say that Bo Jackson played two sports. He played football and baseball, so that would have only changed the results here by one digit. So I wanted to demonstrate the quick analysis feature in Microsoft Excel. What this entails is you highlighting a certain subset of the data and then right-clicking on that data and selecting the quick analysis option. Now, what this provides is a easy way to very quickly summarize or visualize the results that you have in front of you. So in the first menu called formatting, there is data bars, and that's what we're going to use today. Now, the neat thing is it adjusts the visual results within the size of the cell. So if I was to resize this cell, you'll see that the size of the bar moves with it, and also the relative values underneath are shifting as that happens. So that's a really nice, very short and efficient way to visualize the data. And the same exists if I wanted to visualize this data, I would go to Quick Analysis, Data Bars. Okay, so you can very quickly get a sense of where the consensus is or where the trends in the data are. Now, there are other options under Quick Analysis. I only used formatting, but if I wanted to create a chart, like a column chart, it would very quickly generate a very similar chart, not oriented vertically, but instead oriented horizontally. Okay. Or if I right clicked on this data and I went again to quick analysis, I could generate a pivot table. How awesome is that, right? Or just a table that shows overlays the visual bar chart onto that table. So I just wanted to show you an example of a very quick way to visualize the results within Microsoft Excel, which may save you a lot of time. Now, for those of you who did not vote for Michael Jordan, uh, it's completely understandable. We don't all follow basketball, or we don't all believe that Michael Jordan is actually the greatest athlete of all time. But I did want to show you a way to find some statistics for that player. So the website is basketball-reference.com, which is a very similar in terms of look and feel to the baseballreference.com website, which we previously used. So I can either look at an active player on the left side, or I can just search for Michael Jordan on the top, and his profile or the link to his profile comes up right away. you'll see that it has all of his career stats. We'll scroll down in just a moment, but you'll see the visual summary here. He is in the Basketball Hall of Fame. He won the NBA championship 6 times. There are many other accolades that he received in his 18-year career. Now, out of 18 years, he made the All Star team 14 times. That's pretty impressive. Now, many of you are familiar with the Air Jordan brand, I'm sure. So, a lot of these nicknames you have seen before in television commercials. Let me just point out that GOAT is a nickname for the greatest of all time. Now, there are several athletes who carry this nickname, Muhammad Ali being one of them, but you'll see that that almost is a giveaway that people consider him to be one of the greatest players. Let me just show you from his stats some of the things that pop out right away are the stats that are in bold means that he was the league leader in these categories. Now, when you lead the league in points scored, you're a contributor to your team. Hands down, you're a contributor. The other thing you should see from his profile is that there are stars in many of the seasons that he played, all of them, but maybe one or looks like only one. He did not have a star next to it. And what that means is if we put our mouse on top of the season column, it reminds us that he was selected for the All-Star team in that season. So that's pretty impressive. But I would say even more impressive, let me just scroll down to the stats that actually show his playoff performances. Okay. So he made the playoffs, his team made the playoffs 13 seasons. This little icon here may be a little bit difficult to see, but this little icon here, it's got a ring on it, meaning that his team won the NBA championship. This is probably the most impressive stat when you consider that if you make it to the playoffs 13 seasons in your career and in 6 out of those 13 you win the championship, that is extremely impressive. Okay, so that's a little bit more about Michael Jordan. If you want to look at the data in more detail, the nice thing is it has a lot of really good statistics for his playoffs, for his defense, for the offense, and also a lot of newer advanced statistics that are more rate measures as opposed to straight out counts. And you might notice one similarity between baseball and basketball is they have a similar metric that we looked at previously, wins above replacement. In baseball, they also have value over replacement player, which is a statistic that has been used in baseball as well. But in basketball, it also shows you how a particular player, how much more of a contributor he is on his team compared to other players. Okay, so that's a little bit more about Michael Jordan and a little bit more about the quick analysis feature in Microsoft Excel.